On our productivity walk today, we're going to talk about how do you find that one thing that can have the greatest impact right away when you're trying to become more productive. When you first start on your journey to become more productive, it can be very overwhelming. There's so many techniques out there, GTD, the Eisenhower Matrix, Pomodoro, and so many apps and programs you can work with. How do you know which one's right for you? It's overwhelming. So many books, so many techniques, so many gurus giving you all this information. And so many of my clients find they're just overwhelmed. They just can't make it work because it's just too much. So they fall back into their old habits. So what I've found works quite well is to find one thing to focus on, make one improvement, work on it for weeks until it becomes a habit, and then consider adding more at that point. But how do you figure out which is that one thing? Start by looking at your day and figuring out what is the biggest impediment to being more productive. For one of my clients, who's a psychiatrist, he had real difficulty ending his consultations on time. He's a very nice fellow, very successful, but he found it hard to bring his consultations to an end. So then he didn't have time to write the notes, so he was trying to write them later or the next day. So he's starting each day quite a ways behind. So I worked with him to figure out how to streamline the process, how to set timers, how to have a timer go off and then talk to the client and say, oh, that timer's set up so it reminds me to ask you if we need to update your medications. So we were doing it in a very gentle way to kind of bring his sessions to an end. And this had a huge impact for him. It was one thing, but it was most of his work. So it had a big impact. Similarly, another client of mine had the problem that she was being continually interrupted all day. A steady stream of people coming to her for her decisions on things. So we reorganized it, that everybody had to go to their direct reports first, and she would meet with each of her direct reports once a day. And this got rid of probably about 80 to 90% of her interruptions. So in your case, you need to figure out what is that one thing? What is one thing I can do that's going to have the biggest impact, whether it's reducing distractions, gaining more focus, one complex task that you could automate or delegate. Figuring out what that one thing is and implementing that will have the biggest, fastest impact on your productivity over the weeks to come. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below and put down what is your one biggest challenge to productivity in the comments area.